So, India decided to hold an exercise with Greece, a naval exercise with Greece, and the Indian naval missile frigate INS Trikand, one of the latest that India has, armed with over 8 BrahMos cruise missiles, and we know how lethal these missiles are, right. This was sent to exercise with the Greek Navy. Now, while it was exercising in the high seas, Turkey got very hot under the collar. It felt it was a direct affront, a kind of a challenge to its Maviye Vatan theory, that the whole bloody Mediterranean is a private lake of Turkey. The Black Sea, Dardanelles, Straits of Bosphorus, Turkey will control, decide, 21 days notice will have to be given, etc. Look, either the rest of the world is on to UNCLOS, or Turkey cannot stand alone in isolation and claim ownership of a whole ocean. Very frankly, it does not have the military power to enforce such kind of an ownership, and it flies in the face of UNCLOS, which the rest of the world has signed on. If people are getting so hot under the collar about why China is claiming the 21 dash line in the South China Sea, etc., why is it calling it its personal lake? Well, the same applies to the Mediterranean. It is not Turkey's private property. It is the open high seas, and we have the freedom of navigation in the high seas, right. So, this is one of the things that I think needs to be tested. Either the rest of the world follows the UN line. Turkey cannot be a standalone exception, and for that matter, nor can China be. And if the rest of the world contests China, well, so can Turkey's claims be contested and tested. So, while Turkey was, INS Trikand was coming back, the Turks decided that it was an affront to their Maviye Vatan doctrine, and they sent a very chilling message to INS Trikand. You are in our territorial waters, you are in our security zone, right, not territorial waters, but security zone, and state your intention, and we will have the right to inspect. And 3 Turkish warships were sent to surround INS Trikand. And this was a very blatantly dangerous and hostile move, but India kept its cool. The captain of the INS Trikand responded, I am in international waters, keep your distance, right, keep your distance. Now, Turkey, instead of, they thought it was a sign of weakness that we hadn't reacted very strongly, and the Turkish warships, 3 warships, closed in on INS Trikand. That was the time that India decided to take due cognizance of this very hostile act. And the Riot Act was read out to Ankara. A clear message was given. You have 8 hours in which to pull back your ships. Any hostile action, we will reserve the right to defend ourselves. And concurrently, in keeping with our law-abiding nature, rule-based world order, we went to the United Nations and we registered our protest that we are in the open seas where the freedom of navigation is guaranteed by UNCLOS. We are signatories to UNCLOS. Most of the nations of the world are signatories to UNCLOS. And if Turkey cannot be a holdout, so this clear warning was given. It was not just an empty warning. The Indian nuclear submarine reached those waters. 3 ships exercising in the Arabian Sea were sent to help out INS Trikand, right. And 8 hours later, India reacted in a very creative manner. India activated its cyber war and electronic warfare measures. And in one fell blow, one cyber attack, the entire pipeline communications of the Turkish oil pipelines were down, electrical grids over Ankara were down, the communications of the 3 Turkish ships prowling around the INS Trikand were down, were jammed. They were out of control, and these three ships pulled away. These three ships pulled away. Turkey made a lot of noises, but the Russians have supported India. They said they will help resupply our ships there in the Mediterranean, and their aircraft have flown over, right. And Israel has supported India. Greece, of course, was doing a joint exercise with India, and they are extremely happy that Turkey's bluff has been called. There are reports that the NATO is also exercising in that region now, but the NATO nations themselves are split. The law, the rule of the law, the UNCLOS is entirely in the favor of India and Greece, and it is Turkey which is punching much above its actual weight. Turkey should realize it is not a joke to try and endanger the safety of an Indian naval warship. The Indian Navy has teeth. It's not confined to the Indian Ocean itself. It's a blue water navy. It is a blue water navy. And Turkey will have to give it with due respect and deference. And if Turkey feels that it can interfere in conflicts in South Asia on the side of Pakistan, well, there will be costs and there will be consequences, there will be a comeback. We are still waiting to see how this pans out, but for the time being, Turkey's bluff has been called. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.